You have big dreams of losing weight and creating a healthy, joyful life. But you find yourself craving sugar, caught up in what the scale says, and diet hopping. Dieting is the old way of losing weight. And the good news is, I'm going to give you a new way of eating so you can ditch diets for good and build a healthy relationship with real food. My name is Megan Olson, certified nutrition practitioner, creator of Skinny Fitalicious, and your host of the Dish on Diets show.
Hello, friends. Today I have a special guest on the podcast, my client Tracy. Tracy came to work with me in 2023, and we ended our coaching together in the fall of 24. Tracy was in menopause, and she was really struggling to lose weight when she came to see me. She was also struggling with her relationship with food. She was trying to eat like 1,000 calories, but couldn't lose weight. And she was actually doing Noom before she started working with me, and nothing was working. The scale wasn't budging. And after we started working together, we were able to improve her relationship with food, her foundational habits, her all or nothing mindset, and we were able to create a sustainable way of eating that she has been able to sustain for many, many months, even after our coaching has ended. And bonus, she lost a bunch of inches too, and she is continuing to transform her body. She's continuing to get stronger in the gym and work on her strength training, which she wasn't doing before, and all of the other things, but I'm getting ahead of myself, of course. So one quick note before I introduce you to Tracy. Tracy sent me a note after we recorded this podcast, and her note said, Megan, it hit me after we taped the session that I forgot to mention that I deserve to be healthy and lose weight. I think you need to cover that. So many women probably don't even realize that they don't think they deserve it. I sure didn't. I remember crying hard, and that such peace came over me when the realization came to me. Anyway, I do think that's important. So this is a realization Tracy and I had working together, and this is why I always say weight issues and food issues are not usually about the food. Some of it is, but not all of it. And quite often our struggles are deeper and they're mindset related. And this is some of the work that Tracy and I had to do together. Here's Tracy. I hope you enjoy her story and her advice for you. Hi, Tracy. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, Megan.
It's so good to have you with us today. I'm so excited for you to tell everybody about your story, your weight journey. I know that when you came to me, you were very frustrated. And why don't we just kind of start with you sharing a little bit of background about yourself and share whatever you feel comfortable sharing, okay?
Sounds good. Well, I'm 52 years old and I'm recently retired. My husband and I have 5 adult children and 3 grandchildren now. I do a lot of traveling and I'm on the go a lot.
So you're busy, needless to say.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about why you're here today, and that's to talk about your weight journey. And so why don't you share with the listeners about like your weight journey? Like what, when did you start trying to lose weight and what were some of the past diets that you tried doing?
Yeah, so I really don't think I was ever happy with my body, but definitely after having my children, I had gained quite a bit of weight. And I was never really good at taking time for myself and exercising. I just always felt guilty. When I took time for myself, it felt like I was always letting a ball drop somewhere else. So I had tried Weight Watchers for a while. I did Noom, Isogenics, and Slim for Life. I also did a 21-day cleanse. But I lost the most weight with Slim for Life. I probably stuck with that one the longest. It really was not sustainable for me because it was so rigid. I was not allowed to exercise at all while on the program, and I was hardly eating any calories a day.
Wow.
Looking back on it, I can see that's when I lost a good portion of my muscle, and I'm having to work very hard to build that muscle back.
Mm. How long ago was that when you did Slim for Life?
I did Slim for Life probably 20 years ago.
Oh, wow. How long did you end up like sticking with it then?
I think I stayed with it for probably a good year, and then I kept the weight off for maybe 5 years.
Wow.
And then it just kind of slowly started building back on.
Mm. Okay. Is that when you kind of found me, or did you try other things before finding me?
I tried new before I found you. I was searching online for hormonal weight loss because everything that I was seeing online and in my social media was telling me the reason that I could not lose weight was because of my hormones.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I signed up for a free consultation and I thought, well, it's worth 30 minutes of my time just to see what you had to offer. And I was really hoping that you would take me as a client. I thought, I really hope when she talks to me that she thinks that she can help me. So we started working together back in June of 2023.
Hmm.
Um, and I never told you, but I had a niece that was getting married, and it was a beach venue, and I really just want to lose my weight so I could go to that wedding and feel comfortable.
Ah.
But after our initial conversation, I knew that was not going to happen.
Yeah, I'm pretty blunt about that. Like.
Yep. And I did not like what you had to tell me about how long it was going to take to get where I wanted to be. But I went ahead and signed up with you because you really seemed to understand where I was coming from. You talked about being able to eat like a normal person and that all foods could fit. And I just knew I was not going to be successful with a plan that made me cut out foods that I enjoyed.
Yeah. Interesting. I did not know that. That is like new news to me that you had this goal of losing weight in 6 months and you didn't like what I had to say, but you still signed up. So there's that.
Yes.
Oh, funny. Okay. Well, when we started working together, what were some of the things that you remember you were kind of struggling with?
Well, I really just felt like what had worked for me before was no longer working.
Mm,
At least what I thought had worked for me before, because I lost the weight even though it came back. And I was really great at beating myself up. I realized that I needed to change the way that I talked to myself. I would never talk to anyone out loud the way that I was willing to talk to myself.
mm,
Just constantly beating myself and putting myself down. Um, and I had started working on that and trying to really give myself grace, but you helped me continue that process. I had a bad relationship with food. I think that was probably one of my worst things. I really had no idea how many calories on average I was eating because I was only tracking my good days. I would try to eat under 1,000 calories a day because that was the only way I could see the scale go down. I got into a point where I was underfueling myself so much during the week that I would just overindulge on food on the weekends.
mm,
And I wouldn't track my bad days because I didn't want to see how bad I was being.
yeah,
Yeah, I was in that mental diet for a lot of years.
mm,
Yeah, I was working out 6 days a week and seeing no progress. Of course, I don't know how I was really working out because I don't know how I had any energy. And I felt stuck. I was just trying to figure out what was missing. I was having to eat less and less calories to lose weight and see that scale go down. And I knew I just could not keep doing that. I was tired all the time and I wanted to be able to just eat normal food.
mm. So Noom didn't help you with any of that, huh?
No, it really didn't. It just kept me cutting back, because I didn't know how to I didn't, it never taught me how to go into maintenance. It never taught me, it just taught me to always be in that deficit. And you'd hit those plateaus and you just had to you know, keep cutting and it just wasn't working for me.
Yeah. So you always have the mentality of trying to eat less, but then it backfires on you.
Yes. I'm pretty sure my metabolism was in a pretty bad spot when we started working together.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. Well, was life perfect for you when we were working together? Everything was smooth sailing?
Oh, goodness, no. There were several things that happened while we were working together. Um, like I said, I do a lot of traveling, so I was not eating at home all the time. I was doing a lot of, eating out and having to eat on the go when I was going to visit family and things. And then I broke my big toe in the gym.
Mm,
And I had to learn to adapt my workouts. I couldn't do my same lifting regimen. Walking was definitely not happening. I was not getting steps in, for about 4 weeks. And so I really had to pivot and adapt, but you had given me great tools, that allowed me to be successful doing that.
Hmm. In the past, if that had happened, what do you think would have happened to like your plan?
I probably just would have said, well, forget it. I can't do this stuff. And so, I'm just not even going to try. When my foot's healed, I'll get back to it and try it again. But I just knew that that wasn't the smart way to go, and I was just going to have to dig in and figure out how to make it happen. And
Hmm.
it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to be. Instead of walking, I rode a bike, in the gym, and I could still do a lot of my lifts, even with a broken toe. And I just kept going because I worked so hard to start gaining some muscle, and I just really didn't want to lose my progress. So, so yeah, it just gave me the will to want to keep going.
Yeah. It's always interesting when I start working with somebody, it's always inevitable. Something happens. Somebody gets injured or somebody gets plantar fasciitis, like something happens. Somebody gets like sick or something. Always happens. And I think sometimes there's a perception of by people like it's always going to be perfect and nothing can happen in order for me to do that. But that's not true. You have to learn how to pivot and adapt in these type of scenarios because that's just life.
Yeah, and that reminds me, I got plantar fasciitis too while we were working
Oh
together. You
yeah.
said that? I did. Yep, I did. So I knew there was another thing that happened to my foot. I couldn't remember what it was, but yeah. Yeah, so yeah, it taught me that there's a lot of ways to go about it. There's not one way to get there, and so you just keep trying different things, but you still get the movement in, and you can still eat well and eat healthy, and it still works. So, yeah.
Yeah, you can just be as consistent as you can be and keep going and still get good results, even if you're injured or something happens. So,
Yeah. Yes.
what did you learn about traveling? Because you did take a lot of trips while we were working together. I know you mentioned that, and I think sometimes people are scared of eating or being off plan or not doing it right when they go travel. So, what did you learn about traveling?
I really learned I do have to prepare and plan a little to travel. I have to have things with me. I always try to have some protein bars and things with me that, hey, if something happens and my flight's delayed or what have you, that I've got some options, other than the cookies and chips that they give you on the plane. And I found myself when I'm ordering out now, I gravitate towards the things that I enjoy, and I enjoy eating the food that I eat at home. And so it's a lot easier to make good decisions, I guess, or healthy decisions now because I've just really changed what I'm looking for and what I even crave for the most part. So yeah, but I've learned a lot of pre-planning and traveling is important, having if I'm going on a vacation for 2 weeks, taking some protein powder with me, taking some protein bars, just it's all doable, but you just have to plan ahead a little bit.
Be a little bit more intentional, if you will.
Yes, that's right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but not impossible to do, right?
No, definitely not. So it hasn't kept me from continuing to go. So
And you definitely were able to lose weight, as I recall, right? When we were working together and you were traveling and doing some of these things.
yes, I was. And I even did some vacations while I was in some of my calorie deficits. And the first time I did it, that really scared me. I thought, oh my goodness, I don't know if I can do this. I'm going to mess up the whole deficit because I have this vacation in the middle of it.
Our minds are funny, they go crazy.
Yeah, but I do find myself, going out to look at the menus of where we're going to go eat ahead of time and kind of trying to pre-plan, hey, what do they have? thank goodness when I go on family vacations, my family a lot of times let me help make the reservations where we're going to go. So I spend a lot of time looking at menus and making sure that, hey, is there, going to be things on there that I'm going to want to eat, and um, but yeah, I do a lot of research and a lot of digging in, but it's not difficult. And for me, that's just the kind of person I am. So I'm sure a lot of people could probably do it without all that I put into it. But yeah, I just feel like it's the days that I'm not prepared that things can just go off kilter. And so as long as I'm kind of have a plan in mind, it helps me because then I can follow that plan or at least attempt to, right?
Right. Right. Well, and the reality is in today's world, it's harder to be healthier. You do have to be more intentional to be healthy because it's just not as easy.
Yes, that
So,
is true.
so well, I guess the number one question is like, what do you think helped you in this journey? Like you did all these different diets previously, and yes, you lost some weights with them, like the Slim for Life. But what do you think was different?
Um, working with you was different because you didn't ever tell me what to eat, or you didn't beat me up when I ate something that I felt like I shouldn't have. I'd put everything on my food logs and send it to you, and I'd think, oh no, Megan's gonna tell me, what were you thinking? But you never did. You just gave me really great guardrails to stay within. How much protein and fiber I should eat. You gave me a range. And at first that was really scary for me because you made me decide what I was gonna eat. I thought,
Mm,
oh my gosh, how am I ever gonna figure this out?
yeah.
You gave me step goals to hit and encouraged me to strength train when I was ready to start. Um, and you also had me stop weighing myself for the first few months.
Hmm.
And I remember that was a real struggle for me at first because I thought, how in the world am I going to know if this is working if I cannot get on the scale every morning to check?
Yeah, and what did you learn now that you're on the other side of this? What did you learn about the scale?
Well, I learned that it was a good thing that you didn't have me weighing myself then, because when I took my measurements after my first calorie deficit, I had lost 6.5 inches. And then you allowed me to weigh myself, and I got on the scale and I'd lost a whole 2 pounds.
Yeah. What do you think would have happened if you had kept using the scale?
I said, there's no way. I would have probably quit or been so discouraged because the scale was just not moving. But, obviously I was losing inches.
Were your clothes fitting different?
And my clothes were fitting looser and I could tell that things were working, but that just gets in your mind. And so, now I do get on the scale, but I use it all as data, and I look at it with my measurements and all my stats and I just analyze it, to see, hey, how am I doing? Do I need to make some tweaks? Am I staying on plan? Um,
Mhm.
and I just don't allow that scale to measure my self-worth any longer.
Ah, that's a big success for you.
Yes.
Big success. Yeah, the scale can really be a booger, especially for midlife women, because of loss of muscle mass. And so, just like you said, like imagine if you had been doing all this work and you're getting on the scale every day and you lost like only 2 pounds. It's
Yeah. I mean, it probably didn't move at all, hardly, during that whole time that I was on that calorie deficit. And
right.
so it's like, yeah. Yep. You tell people that, but until I really went through it, and I remember you told me where you thought my goal weight was going to be, and I thought, she's crazy. I've weighed like 20 pounds less than that. That is not going to be my end weight. But now I'm pretty certain you're right.
Yeah, muscle
Uh,
muscle still has to weigh something, and it becomes important as we get older. So
yes,
that's the
yes. And
thing.
I'm pretty sure I lost a lot of muscle when I lost all that weight. So, it's like, yeah, it looked good on the scale, but not so good for me, right?
Right, right. So, but your
Yeah.
body changed. I mean, you lost 6 inches, and That's nothing to blink and say, hey, that's no good. That was amazing. 6 inches of you was gone.
Yeah. And yeah, that was, I guess, faster than I really thought it would be into working with you because we had done a little bit of maintenance and went into a deficit. And then yeah, so I felt really good about it. Um, you also introduced me to maintenance and calorie deficits. That's something that none of my other diets had ever even talked about, right? I mean, they just told you how to cut to lose the weight. Nobody told you how to eat to keep it off.
Yeah.
Um, and I was honestly and still am honestly at the amount of food I can eat, whether I'm in a calorie deficit or in maintenance, it's much more than my 1,000 calories that I was trying to eat before.
Yeah. Yeah. Who wants to
Yeah.
be on a 1,000 calorie diet? No one.
Oh, I don't know how I did it, honestly. But yeah, now I couldn't do it. There's no way. Like my poor stomach would be telling me that's a bad idea.
Yeah, yeah, you'd be going
Yeah.
crazy. So I guess
Yeah.
you learn not to eat 1,000 calories. You learn not to get on the scale and use it as your only measurement tool or to measure your self-worth. I guess what else did you learn?
I learned that maintenance is a great place to be, and I learned, to use it to gain strength in the gym. You really taught me how to work foods into my plan without feeling guilt around it.
Mhm.
Um, I can make choices around what I eat. I really liked your message of how I can make it better instead of what do I have to give up.
Mm.
There's just so many options out there when you are making those choices that I never feel like I can't eat something that's going to satisfy me. I don't allow food to control me any longer. I listen to my body, and really try to analyze, am I hungry? Am I really hungry? Or am I bored? Am I nervous? Why do I think I need to eat in between meals? And if I'm not hungry, then I really try not to eat. I've built a strong foundation of habits that I can rely on.
Mhm. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great.
Um, I also really have reduced the amount of alcohol that I drink.
Mm.
I used to drink in the evenings, just to relax. And I've learned that you know, it's just empty calories. Now, I still enjoy a drink here or there. I haven't given it up, but I've cut back greatly and I feel much better for it. Um, it was a struggle at first if I go out to dinner with friends and they were drinking and I wouldn't order a drink. I kind of feel, like I was missing out or left out. Um, but now it really doesn't bother me at all. And I just had to learn to start to work on feeling my feelings instead of turning to alcohol.
Mm. Was that hard to break that habit at night? Because I know I have a lot of clients who do drink alcohol at night.
It was, and it used to just be a nice, relaxing way to sit and visit with my husband. So I really had to I just had to change my evening routine a little bit, and just figuring out what that new routine was going to be. To cut that down. And sometimes if he wants to have a drink, I'll just have some soda water, flavored soda water, instead, and it doesn't bother me anymore.
Mm.
Yeah.
Mm. Okay.
Yep. There's substitutions, and but I know when I do drink, uh, I can tell a difference. I can tell a difference in the gym, and I can tell it's harder for me to make good food decisions if I order a drink before I order dinner, then you're staring at the menu and it changes my perspective on things. So I just really I have to focus harder. Yeah, I have to focus
Yeah.
harder
Yeah.
and do that, you know. Yep, I have a lot of work to do, and like I said before, it's going to be a lifelong journey. You always told me, that I'm just practicing. I have a lot to learn, and I still
Yeah.
feel that way.
That's a good thing to always be learning and growing.
Ye- Yes, that's right. I'm comfortable in my skin now for the first time in a long time, and fat loss takes time when done correctly. I'm satisfied with slow, sustainable progress, where before I really just wanted that quick fix.
Mhm.
So, and like we said, you can be losing fat in inches while not seeing that scale go down.
Yep. Yep.
Um, yep. You also taught me the importance of strength training and getting my steps in. I never thought I would be comfortable to go into a gym and lift weights, but I really enjoy my workouts now.
I remember when we first started with that, that was one of your concerns. You're like, I'm not sure if I'm really comfortable with that.
Yes, yep. It was very, you definitely pushed me to do the uncomfortable things.
But now you like it, right? Now you enjoy the workouts.
I really do. I miss them if I don't get them in. And, I can really see progress as I continue to gain my strength, and just feeling better and how my clothes fit. There's so many ways to see just these small things that help you along the way, I guess, realize that it's working.
Yeah.
You're getting to those goals. Just gonna take time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. So I just believe that the work I'm putting in now is so important as I continue to age gracefully. I I want to be the old person at the gym and not the young person in the nursing home. So
Mm,
yeah, enjoy running after those little grandkids and playing with them on the floor. I just want to be able to continue to travel and enjoy life. And it's all the little things each day that I'm thankful for that make it easier to put the work in on those days when I don't feel like it.
yeah. Yeah. Wow. What a learning experience. You learned a lot of stuff.
Yes, I did. Yeah, you were such a great help. So
Wow. Great. I mean, this is like looking at where you were, right, compared to where you are now. It's just really incredible to see the transformation. And you're doing all these different diets and working really hard to try to eat 1,000 calories, and then it would just backfire on you. And then you're trying to work out 6 days a week, and now you've built a life that you can actually stick to and look forward to.
yes, I have. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I guess there's a lot of women on this call who are listening who are just like you, Tracy. They're stuck in diet culture land and stuck doing all these crazy diets, just like you were doing, trying to eat 1,000 calories. They're working really hard and nothing's happening. What would your advice be to them?
I would say reach out to Megan because she is just a wealth of knowledge. And there's just so much misinformation out there right now that it's just hard to know what to believe.
Yeah,
Megan will help you filter out all the noise and focus on the habits that will help you build a strong foundation for life. Um, yeah, trust Megan and trust the process. I really love the way I feel now, and I would not be where I am today without Megan's guidance. She has taught me so much.
aw, that's so nice. Thank you. Thank you. Ah,
Yes,
I appreciate that, Tracy. So reach out to me, I guess, or listen to this podcast for more helpful tips, I guess could be the thing. But yeah, I think it's hard to know what you touched on with the misinformation is so key. It is so hard to know because there are so many people who are just saying all kinds of stuff. And some of it is just what I call social media noise. It's just noise and distraction to get you to click, to get you to comment and engage. And some of it's not even true. And it's unfortunate, but that's where we are right now. So I think for a lot of midlife women, it can be very confusing not knowing who to listen to or what to actually do.
I agree. Sometimes when I'm looking at social media, I feel like if they have a ton of followers and, you just see them every 2 seconds, it's kind of like, is that really the person you want to listen to? And you got to stop and think, is what they're saying doesn't even make sense. And
Yeah.
most of the time it really doesn't. But we're all just so, we've tried so many things and they just haven't worked. And we just want to figure out how to get here. And it's hard. So I just think it was a blessing that I was so lucky to be able to find you on the internet. And um, it was just a Google search. Funny enough, I didn't even see you on social media. I didn't even know you did all that stuff or had
Oh,
podcasts until after our first call. So
oh, I didn't even know that. I knew you followed me on Instagram. I just assumed you found me on Instagram. Huh.
yeah, nope. So yeah, I think
Wow.
everybody just needs to be careful about who, Megan will help you, but yeah, there's a lot of people out there that won't, I guess.
Yeah, I like what you said. I think a good filter is, do they have millions of followers and do you see a lot of their videos? It's probably, is what are they saying making sense, right? If it doesn't make sense, probably all of it's probably not anything you need to spend a lot of time and effort focusing on. The basics work. And I think that's probably something you learned during our time together, really working on the basics and dialing in on the right things and putting the right things in place for you. Like you said it, you had to spend some time figuring out, well, what the heck am I going to eat? Megan's giving me these goals, but she's not telling me exactly what food to eat. I'm having to figure that out. I'm having to figure out the meals and how do I hit my nutrition goals. That takes some time in figuring out. It does. So, but the good
Yeah,
news is now you know how to do it, and now you have the freedom to choose.
yeah, and do it for the way that it works for me in my life because, we're not cookie cutters. Everybody's different. So having that
Right.
opportunity, even though it took time, but having that opportunity to build my own foundation the way that it works for me, makes it sustainable.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you had given me a meal plan and said, I want you to eat these things, odds are there'd be things on there that I don't like, but I'd eat them because you told me I had to,
I know. I know.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Sometimes I think people do think like, oh, I just want somebody to tell me what to eat so I don't have to think. But again, to your point, like it might not work for you. You might not like it. It might not work for your lifestyle either, And so it's like you have to learn and you have to build the skills. And that is part of going on this journey. And that's why it doesn't, it's not a 6 month thing. Like you lose weight and you're done in 6 months. That's typically why it takes longer, right?
Yes.
But the benefit is now you have it in place and you're living your life and you have the freedom to choose and live your life because of that work that you've put in up front. You built that foundation up front. So now it's just kind of like you're just repeating all of the basics and working on them and getting better and better over time. So I don't
Yeah.
remember actually, Tracy, I don't remember when we finished our coaching together. I know you said we started in 2023, but I don't, do you remember when we stopped? When was our last coaching call? Last
I
year?
think, I think it was maybe, feels like September of 24 we finished.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, and you're
Yeah.
still doing all of these things on your own. Look at you.
Yes, I am.
That's amazing. That's
Yep. And I
amazing.
plan to continue to do it. I have no desire to change the way I'm living. So, yep, it's been great. And
Wow.
I feel wonderful and um just keep moving in the right direction, keep doing what I'm doing. And um yep,
Good.
yep, just gonna stick with it.
Good. I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy and blessed that I was able to be your coach and help guide you with all of these things. And now you have all this peace and you've built this wonderful lifestyle that you look forward to and you look forward to going to the gym. I'm just so tickled and happy for you, Tracy. You've done some great work. And I know I guided you, but you also did the work too, which isn't easy to do. So just so happy for you as your coach. Really, I am. I know you can't see me, but I'm smiling just ear to ear.
Well, thank you, Megan. I'm smiling too. I'm with you.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing your journey with the listeners. I know it's very helpful to everybody to hear other people's journeys. So thank you so much. And Tracy, keep in touch. I love hearing from my old clients from time to time. So keep in touch. Let me know how things are going. And I'm always here for you. Drop me a note if you need me anytime. Okay.
Will do. Thank you, Megan.
You're so welcome. Have a good evening. Hey, if you enjoyed this podcast, you have to come check out my free weight loss class. It's the 5 steps to lasting weight loss, how hormones impact weight loss, and the truth about lasting weight loss without relying on willpower, workouts, or deprivation. Click the link in the show notes to watch that free class today. And if you are a woman over 35 with 20 to 50 or more pounds to lose, schedule a free weight loss breakthrough session with me after you watch that class. And let's talk about your 20 to 50 or more pound weight loss plan.